Okay, so one of the best ways to have things really prepped and ready to go is to prep them so they are ready to go. Seriously. So one of the things I love to do most weekends or beginning of the week is get some protein prepped for my lunches, and sometimes they can roll right over into my dinners. And a simple way for me to do that is to prep some chicken breasts. And I know sometimes people say, oh, they're so dry, they're so boring, but I feel like I've kind of made it taste really good. And to me, it's also a wonderful way to like repurpose it for a dinner. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I do. What I do is I take about a tablespoon of mustard, and look, I'm gonna put it right into my little bowl that I'm gonna store the chicken and marinate it in, right? So this is marinated chicken breast. So I've got a tablespoon of mustard. I've got 1/4 cup of olive oil, and I've got 2 teaspoons of taco seasoning, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and about 2 tablespoons of a lemon. So I'm just gonna do 1/2 of a lemon in here, and I'm gonna mix it up. So a lot of times it'll have you marinate in a plastic bag, and whenever I can avoid a plastic bag, especially one that I'm gonna have to throw away after one use, I will avoid it. So I think it works just fine in a container. So this is just a Tupperware container. I'm just gonna mix it up. And then literally, the nice thing is this is a thing I don't really have to get my hands dirty for. I'm just gonna take my chicken breast, I'm gonna pop it in there. I'm gonna just move it around. I'm gonna pop another one in there and just move it around. And I'll tell you, these are a tiny bit frozen still, which is just because I was anxious to get this marinating, which is totally fine. And I'm just getting it all nice and covered. There's a little piece right here. And I could let this marinate for 20 minutes if that's all I have time for. I can let it marinate overnight if I have time for that. I don't want to go too much longer than that because I think it can start to get a little different textured. I don't really know the science behind that, but I don't want to go too long. But basically all I'm going to do is just put a lid on it and let it sit in the fridge and let it marinate. And then I will show you in a moment what it's going to look like when I go to cook it. Simple piece of cake. But for now, I'll just throw a lid on it and let it marinate in these yummy juices so I have nice, flavorful chicken for my lunches. Okay, welcome back. It has been a couple hours and my chicken has been marinating. And you know, usually you're always gonna marinate it in the refrigerator. And you can always come in while it's marinating and just turn it here and there, your choice. And then what I always love to use, right, for this chicken is parchment, and for most things, because it just makes cleanup way easier. So I've got a nice pan, you can use a sheet pan. I'm just gonna throw this in here, and you see what I just did? That just makes it more, this just makes it more malleable, easier to deal with when you're using parchment paper. So literally, once again, I'm barely gonna get my hands messy at all. I'm just gonna put my chicken breast right on here. These are pretty big chicken breasts. So that means that I am going to cook it for about 30 minutes. Now there's definitely, you know, you don't want to undercook your chicken because it just doesn't taste that good. But you also don't want to overcook it. So you can definitely measure it. I've had a hard time with some of those measurements, those little thermometers. I probably need to get a much better one. I'm just gonna put the rest of the sauce right over the top of each of these. Sometimes you could always throw some fresh herbs in at this point. You can also completely change the seasoning. Like you could do a whole curry powder, you could do a curry chicken, you could do, you know, whatever. Sometimes I throw like soy sauce or sriracha, all kinds of things. The main thing is you just want to get it seasoned. You can also use this opportunity just to even do a tiny bit more salt over the top, which I like to do just to ensure that you get a nice flavorful chicken. And I'm gonna put this in the oven for 30 minutes. And what I was gonna say is sometimes, you know, you can test it to make sure it's done. It would be 165. You can also put your finger on it, and you really want kind of a firm, like almost like right here on your hand. Like if you had it all soft in between here and you pushed on the chicken while it's cooking and you could really push down, it wouldn't be done. But if you kind of get a nice firmness like right here on your hand, that's when it's going to be done. But I'll just say 30 minutes for something big like this, and then you're done. And if it's not completely done when you slice it, you can always just give it a quick saute. The main thing is that you are going to have cooked done chicken that's going to be really easy as a snack, but usually what I like to do with it is as my lunch. And I'll tell you, let me get this baby in the oven. What I'll tell you is oftentimes, and I also don't want them touching, so they kind of slid together. I'm going to give them each a little bit of their own space. That'll make them cook a little quicker than if they're touching and more even. Now, and again, I'll turn my timer on for 30 minutes. But what I was going to say is, let's say I want to have like a taco bowl or tacos or something one night, and it's maybe a few days later. I've had this for lunch a few times. I can take some of that chicken and slice it into little cubes, mix it with some more spices and saute it and kind of crisp it up a little bit, and then have that as like meat for my tacos or my bowl or my burrito bowl or whatever I'm doing. And boom, it just makes it like this quick, simple, easy dinner. I like to do that too. Let's say I'm like, oh, I really want to make a soup or just have a quick, simple soup. I can do the same thing. I'll saute my veggies. I'll throw that already cooked chicken in. I'll throw my broth or water, whatever in, and boom, I've got an instant soup. So it really can be very versatile. The other thing I do with it sometimes, and I know this sounds kind of weird, but I'll take some thin slices of it, and you know, they almost could look like, think of them as like crostini crackers. And those little crackers, I can throw a little bit of hummus on there and maybe like a little tomato or some sauerkraut or something, and I can almost have them like a little snack, and it makes it super low carb, high protein, and it's really satisfying. And you know, again, you're not gonna totally overeat them, because they I mean, not that they don't taste good, that's not why I'm saying that. They taste good, but it's harder to overeat like chicken, but it's way easy to overeat chips or crackers. So if I had like hummus with, I might be like, oh, let me just have a few more chips dipped into the hummus or crackers dipped into the hummus. But I've got these chicken rounds. It's just different. We don't overeat it the same way. It doesn't excite our dopamine receptors the same way. So that is the chicken. I'll pull it out in 30 minutes. It will be done, and I can put it over salads, which is what I love to do for lunch. And my salads are not just like little lettuce, spring mix. No, I like to put sometimes garbanzo beans in there, maybe a little bit of feta or another kind of cheese, and maybe some pumpkin seeds and different vegetables that I've prepped and blanched. So maybe blanched cauliflower or zucchini, green beans, asparagus. Like, it is a hearty salad. It's full of vegetables. It has some good fiber and a little bit of starch in there. And it's just satisfying. I love apples when it's apple season, or cara oranges. Like, I'm going to eat that salad, and it's going to give me so much fiber and so much flavor. And it's going to be bulky too, where I'm going to be like, oh gosh, I'm full. And it also is going to have that protein where I'm going to feel good. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, stuffed, but I'm going to feel full, satisfied. And then I don't even think about wanting to eat more food until I get hungry 3 to 6 hours later. Like, that's the name of the game. That's the goal. Okay, so now we'll get to see next what the chicken looks like when it's done, because I know you want to see that too. The chicken has been in there for 30 minutes, and I could do the little, and it's pretty firm, so I know it's done. And I don't want to leave it too long on this pan so that it keeps cooking, because the pan is hot. So I'm just gonna take it out, and of course I washed my tongs, and I washed this, and I can just put them in here and let them cool down, and then put them in the fridge. And there's one little piece here that I could just taste and make sure it tastes good. And you know, there was this little piece that came off of one of the breasts. So I just put it underneath the chicken so that it would have the moisture and the protection. It wouldn't totally get overcooked. It's very hot, but it's very good. There's a lot of flavor. It's moist. And what I can do now is just cut these into 4, not now, once it cools down, let it stay sealed. But basically, you know, I want to use it as 4-ounce pieces. So I've got my little scale here, and I can just thinly slice 4 ounces for my meal. So I can do that ahead of time. I can do it, you know, as I eat it. But again, I'm just trying to make my midweek easy with prepped food. All right, there you have it. Easy prep chicken breast that is actually delicious. Okay.